in this case, it would be, yeah, because you're a host.
Right. So I'm starting the stream and I seeing if
But
I'm
you need
sending it.
unless you have it from last time, you need the RTMP information to send it to Restream.
Yeah, see, I don't know because I just turned on the restream. Is it going to you?
Let me check.
Just meet us in the staff room when you guys are done, okay?
Okay.
Thanks.
Yes.
So
Which
it
means
seems
we're live.
so. Where I'm live to you, and now you have to assign it to where.
No, we're live.
You can't put it on pause.
I am now going to start the walk-in music. But the good news is we're there and it's all working.
All right, so it seems to remember everything. Because I just did this yesterday, recently with Bianchi, and it remembered his credentials. So yes, we are appearing to be live right now.
Well, luckily, we're still at 0 viewers, but
let me change the view.
I will now start the walk-in movie, and I'll see you in the green room or something.
Yeah.
you ready for a special Filmmakers Edition of your very own Mighty Monthly Muse?
We're ready.
We are here in the Jim Alberti Theater in Highland Park, New Jersey. For a special Filmmakers Edition of the Mighty Monthly Muse. And if you can support me or this broadcast, you can do so at paypal.com/PayPalMe or Bald Chandler or patreon.com/The Chris Chandler Show. Yes, we are here in Highland Park. But first, we're going to have to take us a little trip. That's right, we're not playing surf music for nothing. We are taking us a trip to Holden Beach, North Carolina, for a special video and Filmmakers Edition of the Mighty Monthly Muse. And here we go. And here we are in Holden Beach, North Carolina. That's right, we are doing a special Filmmakers Edition of the Mighty Monthly Muse. Hope you guys are doing okay. And having to do a little family trouble traveling here in the pandemic. But today is indeed April the 2nd. I'm here at a friend's house, and I hope you guys are ready for this. First thing I want to show is I am proud to say that I have made every nickel of I've ever made in my life on or around the stage. And not the least of which has been being a stagehand over the years. And the stagehands never get a lot of credit. And a lot of people have been talking about through the pandemic how bad it is for the musicians and the performers. And that is true. We have all been out of work, but the stagehands have also all been out of work. So when I started to make this video, I asked a lot of my stagehand friends for clips of shows that they have done, if they had any video of them working. And a lot of people sent in submissions. And because of that, when I finished the video, it got put up on the IATSE website. It's the first video that I ever made that got a big response. It got like 20,000 views in the first day that it was up. And I've credited some of the stagehand footage is found footage, but it's largely a collage effort. And the music is from Paul Benoit. And here we go with a toast to the stagehands.
One, two, three.
So this lawyer dies and gets up to heaven. St. Peter says, "Welcome to heaven, come on in." Politician gets up to the pearly gates and St. Peter says, "Welcome to heaven, come on in." Stagehand gets up there and St. Peter says, "The loading dock's around back."
I'm just a cup, please fill me up. It won't take much, strong is your stuff. Better than coffee, sweet ginger ale, and all of the colas in comparison pale. Oh yeah, could you fill me up? Oh yeah, could you fill me up?
stagehand never gets celebrated. He's too busy setting the stage for the celebration. But the truth is, there can be no celebration without him. There's nothing like doing the load-in for your own party. So I say it's time for a toast to the stagehands, the noble profession, the world's third oldest profession. I mean, we all know that the oldest is the prostitute, and the second must be the pimp. But somebody had to set the stage for the ultimate live entertainment.
I'll be your pony, you'll be my rider. Don't pull my reins, just hold me tighter. I'm not a cowboy, the king of Siam, and I got nobody working my land, oh yeah. Could you hold me tighter? Oh yeah. Could you hold me tighter?
So here's to you, the stagehand, all of you. The wrench slingers, the truss climbers, the box pushers, the dock jockeys, color girls and best boys, the cookie cutters and merch mongers, the rag pullers, set dressers, grid monkeys and pit penguins, the shills and the plants, the quick changers, props table arrangers and marquee letter hangers. The backline humpers, the leggers of decks, guitar and drum techs, the tour managers, projection booth anglers and dog and pony wranglers, the shop stewards and dressing room screwers.
I keep my thoughts down in a hole. They'll come up to see me and tell me hello. They tell me they miss me when I'm not around, looking for answers they never are found. Oh yeah. Could you say hello? Oh yeah. Could you say hello?
You know why the sound man only counts to 2? Check, 1, 2. 'Cause on 3, you have to lift. What do you call a stage electrician with a hammer? A thief. So here's to you and all your quirky rivalries. May the war between the tweaks and the squints forever rage. You know, I sometimes think that rivalry was created by management, knowing that the two would race each other to get their rig up first as we all push towards that moment, the one in which we all do this for, that second when the house lights go to half and a hushed silence befalls the crowd and then they go out. That is the most important moment in the universe. For from that darkness, anything can happen, and it usually does. And if we have done our jobs, we will sit beneath the blue lights, headsets engaged, to listen for the opening of the door of wonder. You know how you know when the stage is level? The rigger drools out of both sides of his mouth. You know how many stage electricians it takes to screw in a light bulb? It's not a light bulb, it's a lamp. You know the difference between a stagehand and a pig? You won't find a pig roaming around a hotel lobby at 3 a.m. looking for a stagehand. Without the lights, the show would be radio. So tune in, my friends. Stay tuned and tune that damn thing. From producer to usher, diva to downrigger, not a single task more important than the other. Here's to you, behind the lights, behind the set, behind the crowd, behind the mask, behind the scene. You are the scene.
The bees are buzzing, the flowers that bloom. I'm not so high, but I'm gonna be soon. Give all my greed to a rich man in need. Throw out my guns and spit out my teeth, and I'll bloom.
is the LD, the SD, the CD, the TD, SM, MC, MEP, A1, L2. Here's to you, show people, cause there's no people like show people, like no people I know. Here's to you that put the U and the S, the us in show business by putting the U in us.
Woo! All right, Muse.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
How many people here are stagehands?
Close enough on my Yahtzee.
Kid wrangler, set decorator.
Kid wrangler.
Costumer.
Troublemaker.
In the stage that I have not done. I've actually produced shows, and I've actually been an usher. I have been a costumer. I've never designed costumes. There are a few jobs that I haven't done, but here's to you, the stagehands out there. It's I've been stagehands and performer in the same show. Well, thank you for watching that. That was from 2015. And I'm proud to announce that Paul Benoit and I are going to make another album, and we expect it to be out by October in time for Kerrville, where we will be performing, Paul Benoit and I. And this next one is from 1996. The song was written by me and Phil Rockstro, but the video I made in, I think, 2012, when the Mayan calendar was set to be the end of the world. And it's a total collage effort. And I signed up for something called archive.org and signed all the licensing for this complete collage. And I really just did it for the end of the Mayan calendar, because I don't know about you, but I noticed that the world was going to end the next day so many times in my lifetime that I thought somebody should make a video about it. So and here as we're approaching the end of the pandemic, we're not at the end, but we are approaching the end, and maybe we can see the end of the pandemic. It seemed appropriate to run my end of the world piece called Breakfast Serial Killers, featuring Oliver Steck on the accordion. And let's take the television out, because I told Brian, round of applause for Brian for being our stagehand here. I told him I'd hold the television up every time as we go into the television into 1995/2012. See, that's what you get when you play the stagehand video. Then that's when the technical error occurs.
Love those old black and white TVs.
At least I know that is actually what is on the screen. Thank you, Vern.
It is. Hopefully they'll roll the video before your arms fall off.
Chris, just a second. Oop. I just need some co-hosting put back on me.
I got you. I think it is absolutely appropriate that after playing the stagehand, this is the first time I've ever had a technical glitch on one of these Zoom meetings. Brian does such a great job, and when I give a toast to the stagehands, they're so busy taking the toast that's when things screw up.
If someone can just Tim or Shannon, if you can get me co-hosted again, I can share the movie.
This video aired on YouTube, and I really just put it up for the fun of it. And some of you have seen me perform with the video backdrop. I've used this video a lot, performing this song with various people, and it was taken down from YouTube because of some television commercials that I used in this collage, and I didn't have the licensing done right, but it was put back up. I did manage to jump through the hoops to get the licensing to be able to show these. And I've always believed that that if you're making a comment on an icon, it's not plagiarism. You're making a comment on an icon. And I've had this problem several times with some of my video creations. I'm not trying to say that I created Trick Cereal. No, I'm making a comment about its advertising skills or advertising tactics rather. So I feel like it's legitimate. And Brian, feel free to cut me off at any time if you got your co-hosting privileges set back up.
Good to go. Thank you, Chris.
Because it was taken down a number of times, I had no idea. It's actually been watched a lot more than it's been being given credit to on YouTube. And I had no idea how many people were as fascinated by the number of times that the world was supposed to end in our lifetime as I was. But it turns out that the world was supposed to end a countless number of times throughout human history. And I hope that this documents it. I am one of the worst people at what is known as the elastic gift of gab. Yes, I've done a lot of MC work in my time, and oh, there we go.
Here we go. Oh,
it starts off with no volume.
Down in Australia, the ozone layer has gotten so bad that people not only accept it, but they've actually figured out ways to cash in on it. I'm not kidding. There's a beer ad running right now that says, well, it's hot out there. The world's coming to an end, but don't you want to die with a Foster's in your hand? You know, I am sick of these visions of the apocalypse that have become as common as breakfast cereals on the aisles of the supermarket of the next millennium. I mean, I'm waiting for ads like, the hour is growing late, and the post alphabet spelled D-O-O-M. The forces of destruction have been eating their Wheaties, boy, while the Rice Krispies of righteousness grow cold and soggy. Perhaps that's how the world will end, not with a whimper or a bang, but with a snap, crackle, and a pop.
But the world's going to hell if you know it. Why not make a show of it? Buy your ticket for the end of the world. Buy your ticket for the end of the world from the breakfast cereal killers. Breakfast cereal killers.
Marxist terrorists looking to redistribute the resources of our children and subvert third world romance like himself. The Fruit Loop bird is a homosexual drug addict. The sugar smack sugar bear is an androgynous pedophile looking to lure our children to his cave of perversion by offering them sugar coated smack. Count Chocula is an aging gone kid, and after 20 years he's still painting his fingernails black and secretly hoping that Marilyn Manson never gets as big as Bauhaus. The Cocoa Puff cuckoo bird belongs in a straitjacket. His bird dropping that tested positive for coca. The Quaker Oats guy is a charismatic cult leader, leading a band of oddly clad, patriot, wig-wearing, Manson family-like breakfast cereal killers.
But the world's going to hell if you know it. Why not make a show of it? Buy your ticket for the end of the world. Buy your tickets for the end of the world. From the breakfast cereal killers. Breakfast cereal killers.
End of the world. Last call. Okay, buddy. What'll it be?
Tequila. From stern to bow on the Captain Crunch ship of state. It's all enough to make you want to, I don't know, what do you want to do at the end of the world? Maybe head for the beer aisle? Oh, you like that idea? Well then say it with me. Head for the beer aisle. Head for the beer aisle. Head for the beer aisle. Beer aisle. Like an island, like an oasis in the dry cereal wasteland. But there is trouble brewing. Six-pack paradise. The four Clydesdales of the apocalypse are riding the random breathalyzer highways. The devil has 100% name brand recognition, except for key demographic groups that find all this too negative. Wait, isn't there a way we could have a more upbeat apocalypse? You know, somebody that can tell us like Tony the Tiger does, that it's all gonna be great. Maybe we can find a cute, warm, fuzzy product tie-in. Maybe a Tickle Me Antichrist doll or Beelzebub Beanie Baby.
What the hell are we going? Why not make a show of it? Buy your tickets for the end of the world. Buy your tickets for the end of the world. From the breakfast cereal killers. Breakfast cereal killers. Breakfast cereal killers.
All right.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Bernie.
Oh, I haven't done that song in so long. I can't wait to be out on the road with a band playing music like that. Maybe Bernie Sanders will join me. This doll was made by the host that's putting us up, putting Kimberly and I up here. Her name is Barry Holmes. Her name is Holmes Bass Night. And if you were to hashtag that, you could check it out. Mary Holmes Bass Night. She could make you things like that. She's nice enough to host us here. That last song was also written, I think I mentioned, written by me and Phil Rockstro, who's a fine writer, and you should check out his work. He's a regular blogger on Counterpunch, and he and I have written together a lot over the years, and deserves a lot of credit for the various creations that I've made over the years. This one, I have zero idea why Ann Feeney is not singing on this song. Pat Humphreys from Emma's Revolution is singing on it, and Sonia from Disappear Fear is singing on it. It's got a litany of activist musicians, and Ann and I were working together when this was made, and I have no idea why she didn't wind up on this, but this is the first video that I ever made that got a huge response. This is from 2005, and 2004, and the Iraq War was just started. The second Iraq War was just started. Oil War II, as I like to call it, and it's one of two times in my life that I can think of that buying a keg of beer was the smartest thing I have ever done, because I knew that me and my friend Karen Kilroy were wanting to make this video, and we did it in Akron, Ohio, and we needed crowd scenes, and we had pretty much zero budget. We had enough to buy a keg of beer, and her friend had a bar, so I bought a keg of beer from him, and we needed a place to keep the crowd in while we were setting up the shots, because it was going to take all day. We pretty much shot this video in a day in Akron, and I just kept all of the extras and all the principal players happy by serving them beer at the bar and us going outside and setting up the shots, and it went the 2004 equivalent of viral in that it got like 1 million hits. But then it was taken down because it's got a scene in there of Fred Flintstone smoking a cigarette. And I thought that I had done all the licensing, but I didn't know what I was doing, and they took it down. And somebody else put it up, and I no longer even have a copy of this video or the original footage that was made of it. But because somebody about 5 years later put it up, and it's only been seen on her site for about maybe 1,000 times, but I downloaded it and sort of tried to brush up the audio a little bit and enhance the coloring. But it's not as saturate as it used to be. But I was very thankful that someone named Karen Palich had put it up. I'm not even sure I know who that is. If you're watching, I apologize for that. But I really do thank you for reloading this video. So this is called Something's in the Air, but it's not on the airwaves.
Let's use that as a concept. As I said earlier, let's go back to World War II. Let's see how it was done then. Let's use the template of a war we won and examine how we're prosecuting this one. Oh no, we have to find the evil. And the answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind.
Call out the instigator, because there's something in the air.
Yeah, there's something in the air, but it's not on the airwaves.
Together sooner or later.
And we have got it together.
Because of revolution.
There are people in the streets. You know, at the very onset of Oil War II, there were already more people on the streets protesting than there were at the height of the Vietnam War. Yeah, there's something in the air, all right, but it's not on the airwaves. If you put a half a dozen JCs in Cincinnati on a street corner waving yellow ribbons, Fox News acts like it's a Republican Woodstock. And they're all singing, by the time we got to Fallujah, we were 500,000 strong. But you put 1 million people on the streets, they're gonna build a fence around you and call you a protest zone.
There's something happening here. What it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there, telling me I got to beware. It's time we stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down.
We like to look at Vietnam through the soft focus of Hollywood.
Love is but a song we sing. Feel the way we die.
Which took the blood of war and turned it into rose-colored glasses. Thousands of beautiful semi-naked 20-somethings putting daisies in the barrels of M16s. All to the tune of Country Joe McDonald singing 1, 2, 3, what are we fighting for? It makes for spectacular video. Sometimes I see these images and I want to go running through the street saying, why don't we do it in the road? But I know better. When the first American troops went to Vietnam in 1964, there was barely a soul on the streets, but people were already singing I Ain't A-Marching Anymore and Blowing in the Wind. These songs were being released on major record labels. Mega hits would follow. Today, we have more people on the streets than there were then. Yet, there is not a single hit song on the radio. Tell me, how could this be?
Run through the fields and
Barry McGuire was this deep-thinking anti-war intellectual policing evil destruction. Nah, he was just jumping on a bandwagon that was made possible by the people in the streets. Yet right now, there are more people on the streets than there were then. But you have to think twice before jumping on any kind of bandwagon for fear it might be a paddy wagon bound for Guantanamo Bay. If you speak the truth on national TV, your show's going to be dropped. Regardless of the ratings, just ask Bill Maher. A show does not need an audience. It needs sponsors. And that's the difference, because the 60s protesters, they were brought up with a brand loyalty of the 50s. And you can't blame them. Naturally, those kids queued up to buy all kinds of groovy mod gear and wear your love like heaven cosmetics. But today's protesters, they don't buy anything.
Imagine no possession.
They don't shop at the Gap.
I wonder if you can.
They boycott Coca-Cola.
No need for greed or hunger.
They run Walmart out of town.
A brotherhood of man.
Hell, they won't even go to Starbucks.
Imagine all the people sharing all the world.
And it's ironic, because before the Berlin Wall fell, we Americans loved to talk about how it was the Soviet Union that would only broadcast the songs of the state.
Hand out the guns and ammo.
And we Americans romanticized that it was our radio broadcast wafting in from West Berlin that tore down the wall. Yet now the cell phone's in the other hand. And there is a new wall running down divided America, and it is American radio that is being manipulated by the agenda of the state, because the state has become indistinguishable from the corporation, and the corporation needs sponsors more than it needs an electorate. Yeah, there's something in the air, and it may not be on the airways, but soon, my friend, it will be the people's broadcast wafting in from the Indie Media Center and Free Speech TV that tears down the wall. And this time, it's not going to be the Berlin Wall that falls. It will be Wall Street. Because the revolution is now. There is something in the air, and we have got it together.
Wow.
Well done, Mr. Chandler.
Indeed.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yes, when we did the filming, our leading lady, one of her best friends from high school was one of the 14 people killed in Ohio and that happened like the day before shooting. So her emotional breakdown scene did not need to be prompted, but she said, "You better get it on one take because I ain't doing it twice." And we did. Karen Kilroy out of Akron, Ohio, deserves a lot of credit for that film, and it won the People's Choice Award at the Cleveland Film Festival in 2005. And I'm proud of that one. Thank you. I appreciate it. This next one won the. It feels appropriate to have my little. You know, my little miniatures. Feels appropriate to have this miniature up for this one. This poem was written by me and Phil Rockstro, and this was made in the pandemic. This was made in 2020 in Asbury Park, and Kimberly and I, Kimberly loves to go to Camp John Waters, and it's an event, a big social gathering. Stay in cabins and spend a weekend with people who really appreciate John Waters fans. And I am a huge John Waters fan. I lived in Baltimore. You are not allowed a Baltimore driver's license if you aren't a fan of John Waters. I am, but because of the pandemic, the event was closed down, and they had a virtual event and decided to have a film contest. And I entered that film contest with this piece, and I won the People's Choice Award. The People's Choice meaning the one that people voted for at the event, not the one the judges picked, but the one that the people went. In fact, all 4 film awards I've ever won have always been People's Choice Awards. So I'm sort of proud of that. I shot it on an iPhone, and I did not have very good green screen technology. But I shot it in an apartment that's about as big as the room that you're looking at right now on an iPhone. And I noticed that, like, if you do the iPhone in portrait instead of landscape, that it sort of grays out on the sides. So I was proud of my solution for that. And this is going to be a little embarrassing for me, but I do have to announce, I feel obligated to announce that, yes, parental advisory, there is explicit content, and I left out the word explicit and misspelled the word content. That was not intentional. That's just because I'm an idiot. But yes, there is explicit content in this video. But we're going to run it. Oh, I want to mention about the last song, just because Brian Dozer is here. At the very tail end of that song, you hear a faint singing of Ellis Paul and John Spetke harmonizing on Republican Woodstock. They were both members of a group of Brian's, and I heard it at the very end there to sort of put that together. And anyway, here we go. This is called Sex, Sex, Sex.
Why the Christian right in this country can't stop thinking about other people's genitalia. I mean, usually, isn't that how we define a pervert? You know, somebody that can't stop thinking about sex, sex, sex. But that's all these guys seem to think about. Jeez, I had to quit going to church just so I'd stop hearing about sex all the time. Maybe that's why so many priests get caught copulating in confessionals, robes round their rumpus, committing the very same acts that shamed them into the priesthood to begin with. Or so many evangelicals will get caught peeping at the pool boy, pummeling their partners. Don't get me wrong here, I ain't fetish shaming. I got plenty of fetishes of my own, but what I am doing is humiliating you for your hypocrisy. You remind me of when I was in high school, and all us prepubescent boys would lie awake in bed at night, enamored with the discovery of masturbation, fantasizing about encounters of sex, sex, sex. However, if we happened across a woman that was the least bit promiscuous, you remember what we called her? We called them slut, slut, slut. All us prepubescent boys at home alone, pulling and pawing at our little chubbies, trying to turn them into full-blown woodies by fantasizing about the very same women that by day we disparaged. Now Mike Pence, Rick Santoro, Ted Cruz, Jerry Falwell Jr. Maybe if you guys just thought about it less and maybe did it more, you'd stop being so obsessed with the subject. And maybe, just maybe, if you thought about it less and did it more, you'd worry less about who I can marry in this country and worry a little bit more about who this country can kill and is killing, because your support of that megalomaniac in chief is actually killing people. What part of thou shalt not kill do you not understand? Donald Trump does not give a flying FCC about your conservative agenda, yet you will stand by a guy who's had children from 3 marriages, paid hush money to porn stars, and proudly proclaims you can just grab women by their pussy. All so you can get another Brett Kavanaugh to help you close down women's health centers. And that's why I am humiliating you for your hypocrisy. Because you know as well as I do that if your darling sweet Madison were to get knocked up by your pool boy, you bet your delicious derriere you'd make sure she was first in line at one of those very same women's health centers. It's ridiculous. These crypto Puritans might as well be shaking their fingers at trees for dropping pollen on my car windshield and in my sinus cavities. Oh, how it penetrates me against my will. I think this is grounds for sexual harassment. It's ridiculous. You can just see these trees on the Dr. Phil show saying, it wasn't our idea. We swear by our roots, branches, and leaves, it wasn't our idea. We were victims, the victims of bees. Those bees, they're so sneaky. They're aggressive too, and all they eat is sugar. It makes them hyperactive. They should be put on Ritalin, we think, and you know they're dysfunctional. They live with their mothers all their lives, absent fathers and all. All they do is roam the countryside looking for trouble, sex on their minds. In and out they fly, in and out they fly, their hot wings beating briskly against our open little flowers. Winter's rigidity falling away, my sap rising. Oh, the sun touching my tender new leaves. The sun just washed the old voyeur. He should be held as an accessory. It's rumored, after all, that the sun itself was formed by the Big Bang, a sort of cosmic one-night stand. You know, all the universe seems to care about is sex, sex, sex. But you know what? It was God that created this flowering earth and the salacious, sensuous stars. And you and me, Mr. Mike Pence, Mr. Rick Santorum, Mr. Jerry Falwell Jr., and since our mailing address is the universe, we too think about sex, sex, sex. So on Judgment Day, I will gladly take my chances, because I believe that the Creator will be much more tolerant of those of us who have erred on the side of Eros than have slept with hypocrisy in the pursuit of power.
Right, Chris, right. Wow. Great job, Chris.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. That was not up on YouTube. I guess it is now.
It is now.
I did not make that one public. I think you are maybe the first public audience to see it. But it was fun to make, and I'm actually heartened by watching it now for the first time, really, since I made it. That the whole Jerry Falwell Jr. scandals gone. That even that updated version has already dated. So that just tells you how quick the scandals come and go. But that was made in the heart of that era. This next poem, that I'm going to do, the next film I'm going to show for you, is one that also won the People's Choice Award in Cleveland, but I didn't put it on the credits because I didn't actually make this slideshow. This is from 2005, right after Katrina. I was actually scheduled to play in New Orleans on the day that Katrina hit. And I was going to play at the gold mine. And you may remember that Katrina did not actually hit New Orleans. It hit Bay St. Louis, which is basically where I was. And I had to cancel the gig. I still get shit from my friends in New Orleans. We were up and running. They were actually open that night because the flood had not happened. The levees had not broken yet. And how dare I cancel a gig? Well, I did. And then all hell broke loose. And as many of you know, I used to live in the lower Ninth Ward of New Orleans, which was hit hardest during that. And my ex still lives there. A few days later, I played at WUMF, and they have one of my favorite gigs of all time. The great venue that they play it in a museum, and Pensacola was the staging ground for the first responders to go into New Orleans. It was the first big city and closest that you could really get there that wasn't completely devastated. And WUMF decided to put the show on, and I wrote that song, this poem, on the day that Katrina happened. And David Rowe from New Orleans and I performed it. And Karen Kilroy from Akron, Ohio, who helped me make the Something's in the Air video, listened to it on the radio and made this video slideshow on the fly and ran it pretty close to live as it was happening. And she was so quick on the spot that my microphone, my wireless microphone, the battery died on it in the middle of the performance, and you'll hear it. And she was smart enough to put in some overdub until I could get over to another microphone, which is a nice little note about this poem. But you have to put yourself back in 2005 and remember the low water mark of the George W. Bush presidency. This is called Ninth Ward, New Orleans, #2. #1 is Before the Flood, and there's now about 7 Ninth Ward, New Orleans poems, but this is #2.
The wall is destroyed, so I plan on moving on.
Got here with me from New Orleans, Dr. D. David D.R. Rowe. He's been a street musician there since 1976, and so this is a brand new piece.
Yes, I can hear the band begin when the saints go marching in. By the whiskers on my chin, New Orleans, I'll be there.
Ninth Ward, New Orleans, the river has always run through you, but never so literally. She's always been a part of you, but rarely like this. Your 19th century widow's peaks are all that peak from a river once held at bay by the hands of man. And now 21st century widows stand on your widow's peaks, once again staring in vain for the horizon to materialize the lost. But it is from the lost that your culture has always been found. It is with you, Ninth Ward, New Orleans, where the melting pot of America melts.
What has happened down here? The winds of change
Katarina rushed in from the Gulf and it started to rain. Blew real hard and it rained for a long, long time. 6 feet of water in the lower Nine.
Ninth Ward, New Orleans. It is from you our culture has sailed in from all directions, from wayfaring sailors seeking the roughest of trade, as well as barges filled with amber waves of grain. Here the wholesome and the whore are changed forever, wholesale.
We'll do another press conference until the resources are in this city, and then come down to this city and stand with us when there are military trucks and troops that we can't even count. Don't tell me 40,000 people are coming here. They're not here. It's too doggone late. Now get off your asses and let's do something, and let's fix the biggest goddamn crisis in the history of this country.
Levee busted to the left, levee busted to the right. Some people got lost in the flood, some made it out all right. Poncha trainers busted way down through to the streetcar line. 6 feet of water in that old town of mine.
Desperate desperados. Maybe now we know you have always been there, and that you, Ninth Ward, New Orleans, like the lands beyond your levees, have always been armed. The desperate do desperate things when made more desperate, and you, Ninth Ward, New Orleans, have been made the lowest of the low. But it is from the lowest of the low that our Savior rises, like a Savior born in the feeding trough of a jackass. You are the birthplace of the blues. And America does not understand that you cannot feel the joy of song without the blue note of pain. And it is pain you have felt. And who can blame you when you never really ask, "Good morning, America, how are you?" Because I don't really recall America ever asking you.
President Bush flew over in a big jet plane. Didn't stop for a photo op or to shake a hand. The president said, hell, these people didn't even vote for me or my old man. Still ain't it a shame what the river done to these poor people's land. Louisiana, they're trying to wash us away. They're trying to wash us away. Louisiana,
yes, Lake Pontchartrain, once again. You have had your evil, wicked way with the Ninth Ward. And Ninth Ward, you will bear its pain for a croon's age. And a slow, painful birth will come as a distant trumpet joins your blues.
I see trees of green.
And when the world asks, what is that sound?
I see them.
A Caribbean accent will answer.
For me and you.
It's just music.
I think to myself.
It's just music. It's jazz music.
What a wonderful world.
And Ninth Ward, New Orleans, your water will break. And a new Louis Armstrong will spring from your loins to blow his trumpet with the mouth of your river until you, Ninth Ward, New Orleans, turn the Gulf of Texaco into the Sea of Galilee, for you are alive.
Heard you do this one many times. Every time you saw the video, don't keep fast.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that, and thank you for running the credits on that. I can't remember all of the details about a lot of these pieces, so it's nice to be reminded and give credit where credit is due. I hope that's not me. I got 2 more for you. You guys got good for 2 more? Oh, I thought I was hearing y'all. I hope so.
Oh yeah.
We're good.
Yes.
This next one, this is the first video I ever made. I made it with Amanda Stark. Some of you might remember that I used to run around by the name of Stark Raving Chandler when Amanda Stark and I were a duo. And Amanda lived in Victoria in a lumber yard. She had a little shack in a lumber yard that she made a deal with the owners of the lumber yard to live there for $100 Canadian a month. And the deal was we had to watch the lumber while we were there to make sure nobody pulled up in a big truck and drove it off. And it had a wood burning stove. And yes, we were allowed to cut up some of the 2x4s and burn them in the wood burning stove. And I was making a living as we call ourselves a frostback. I was a frostback. I was living off the largesse of the tourist industry of Victoria, being a street musician. And needless to say, we weren't making a whole lot of money. And I mentioned before that buying a keg of beer was one of the smarter things that I've ever done. And that is exactly what Amanda and I did when we decided to make this video. We bought a keg of beer and we threw a party. Amanda knew a lot of the people in the film and video world in Victoria, and we threw a party. We made a script, we made the jobs, the functions, just got to put in names and things. This is exactly what we need to make this video. And it included 17 television sets and 17 VCRs. This is 1993 is when we were making this. I know that because I had hair in the video. But at one point in this video, there are literally 17 television sets that are all queued up with different videotape. So we had like a stack of VCR players that we all had to hit play on at the exact same moment as the shot sang. And I love this script. One of the problems is, and I learned a lot doing it, but there are so many jokes that are in this script that they just happen so fast that the rhythm is just like boom, 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 boom. You don't get a chance to really absorb what happened. And one of the examples I'm going to use is there's a moment where the television dad feeds the television dog. I mean, you need a minute to set that whole joke up, and it's done in like literally under 5 seconds. So it moves pretty fast, but I'm really proud of this video. And it won the People's Choice Award at the Vancouver Folk Festival in '94. It was made in '93. And where's my television to cue Brian to run? This is the poem was written by Phil Rockstro, and I'm to blame for the music. And Amanda Stark and Paul Manley deserve a great deal of credit for this video as well. We turned our entire that cabin that we in the lumber yard. We had turned the entire one-room floor into a television set or into a movie set for about 2 months it took us to make this movie. So we actually lived with this set in the living room. There you go. Evil is boring.
Well, come gather around me, people. I would like to talk to you about something that we all have in common. Yes, my friend, I would like to talk to you about evil. Now, let's get one thing straight here from the very start, that evil is not like you are thinking. Evil is boring. Evil does not cause prepubescent girls' heads to spin around and spit out green pea soup and levitate household furniture and appliances. No. Evil causes you to want to own those household appliances in the first place. Evil is when you add a party and you're eyeing some beautiful young thing. Some beautiful young thing is eyeing you. And you go to make your way over to that beautiful young thing when some schmuck comes up to you, starts talking about insurance, and you find yourself interested in that conversation. You, my friend, have embraced evil. Evil does not come flying out of hell, born on leathery wings, bearing some Faustian bargain. No. Evil comes cleverly disguised as an insipid game show host. Evil is behind door number 1. Evil does not have claws or talons. Evil wears press-on nails. Evil does not have cloven feet or a hairy satyr back. Evil wears Gucci loafers and a bad hairpiece. Evil is a hair club for men. Oh, and remember, my friends, I am not just the president. Why, I am the very embodiment of evil. Compulsive complacency, excited by insipidity, possessed by banality, the demons of normality, the demons of normality. Plagued by the pedestrian, I've been to hell and back again, partaking the immortal sin. I'm wearing the devil's cardigan, I'm wearing the devil's cardigan. I'm talking about evil over here. And evil does not cause adolescents to form those rock and roll death cults in their acne-prone years. No, evil comes in the form of the PTA to impose dress codes. I mean, let's face it, y'all. What could be more evil than to tell a teenager to dress like he is middle-aged? Evil does not speak to you through a Ouija board. Evil speaks to you through Trivial Pursuit, because this leads to the pursuit of trivial things. Now, I said at the very beginning that evil was boring, and board games are called that for a reason. The devil wants you to be bored. Why, the devil wants you to be boring. The devil wants you not to lust for life. He wants you to sit at home, frozen in a sticky and lazy boy, channel surfing through the 59 circles of hell, floating endlessly in remote control limbo, slouching ever towards 1-900 numbers, infomercials, Bay movies, the national anthem, and your whole band turns to nothing but static. But there is hope, my friend, there is hope, that if the devil is the lord of the board, then there may be redemption in the ridiculous. And if you are the kind of person that would listen to this song in the first place, trust me, that's truly a ridiculous act, and you should be canonized as a saint.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
Oh, thank you very much. That was fun for me to watch too. I really have not seen that barely since it was made. But it was a big undertaking, especially with two people just pretty much living off of the money that was coming into a guitar case in a tourist town. So I'm proud of that one. I want to note that there's a scene in there where you see nothing but the feet walking. And that was just an accidental shot that we left the camera on and got the feet walking, but it was used to cover up because the record company was afraid that too much of King Kong was being used. And the record company did not fund this project at all, but in order to release it, they wanted to cut the King Kong stuff to a very bare minimum. And so all we had was like walking feet. So let's just punch up some walking feet. This last one that I want to close with won the Vancouver Folk Festival People's Choice Award the following year, and it's also a Stark Raving Chandler piece. This was made in 1994, and it's my most requested piece by far, and as a performer. And I want to say that I performed this poem
without a band in San Francisco in one of those storytelling things, one of those contests to get on the Moth Radio Hour. And they had these like really strict rules about that actually had to happen. It has to be a true story. It can't be any symbolism. There can't be, it has to actually be a factual story. And I did my piece and I was challenged as to whether or not this really happened. And some techie called up on his GPS the point in time that the place that I am talking about, and proved me right that it did actually happen. So I want to close with this. This is called "This Is Not a Folk Song." It's from the Generica record, also from around 1994. This was with me and Amanda. You know, I guess most of my stories start off with the phrase, "My car broke down," but this time the car didn't exactly break down. The engine, it fell out of the vehicle. Now, I don't know if you've ever had the engine fall out of your car or not, but trust me, it is a sight to behold. So I wasn't sure what I was going to do, and I called up my oldest friend in the world, who said he'd be glad to drive the 3 hours down from Atlanta to get to LaGrange. I sat on a milk crate and panhandled change. Now, I don't know if you've ever tried to panhandle change when you're wearing a t-shirt that says, "Just say no to a real job." But the folks at LaGrange, they all seemed annoyed as I purchased a Schlitz malt liquor tall boy and went back to my milk crate where I had to wait. I shared my last cigarette with another vagrant who was peddling flowers, and we swapped stories and wasted the hours. And his story had it that these two guys got really drunk on Night Train and MD 2020. And they were riding on this boxcar, and they got caught and got into a fight and were thrown from the moving vehicle and were subsequently killed. And his story had it that their bodies were so polluted with Night Train and MD 2020 that when they were buried in a shallow grave outside of Green Bay, Wisconsin, nothing will grow there to this day. Well, I'm like you, I had to tell my friend that I did not believe his story, but I somehow thought it was beautiful.
But this is not a folk song. It's about the way I feel. Whether that's universal. Who am I to tell? It's not a folk song. But you're welcome to sing along. But it ain't got no harmony, and I think that's okay. 'Cause to tell you the truth, I'm not feeling harmonious. Anyway, hey.
Story is about my friend Frank. See, Frank, he's my oldest friend in the world. We did everything together when we were growing up. We even had rock wars against each other because, see, our buildings faced each other there in Stone Mountain. You know, we went to kindergarten together, and we went through puberty together, and we went through juvenile delinquency together. Hell, me and Frank, we even detoxed together. And when Frank got there, he did what he does best. He didn't say a word. He just handed me a bottle of tequila, and we took off about 75 miles an hour past the Shotgun Distilleries, and I started laying it on real thick and heavy to my friend Frank about how I didn't think the past 5, now 6 years of my life amounted to a damn thing. Traveling around the continent, living in the back of a pickup truck, and maybe staying in homeless shelters, and maybe writing songs about the people that I meet. As I started getting real thick and heavy into my self-pity rap, I looked over to Frank for some kind of a response because he still hadn't said anything. And Frank, he just looked up, which made me look up, and I noticed for the first time these giant iron butterflies ejecting and rejecting their landing gear, which could only mean one thing, that we were headed towards the Atlanta airport, the world's largest airport. Hell, that place has got a subway system in it that rivals the Atlanta subway system. Anyway, Frank, he exited there on the last remaining exit of Hateville, Georgia. We were on this little dirt road, and we were fishtailing off along it until we came up to this chain link fence, and Frankie nudged the gate of that chain link fence with the front bumper of his car. That gate swung open, and we found ourselves no longer near the Atlanta airport, but we were in it. And I ain't talking about in the parking lot. I mean, me and my oldest friend in the world had managed to infiltrate Ground Zero, and we were now drag racing a 727. And I swear to God, there for a minute we were gonna win, because we were about flying. That is until we saw this other chain link fence coming up on us real fast. So Frankie locked him down, and he donutted around, fishtailed up alongside of it, hopped out of his car, reached in his pocket, and pulled out a little white piece of paper and undid a combination lock. Pulled that pickup truck inside. It was about a 20-yard squared off area sitting between the runways of the Atlanta airport.
But this is not a folk song. It is about the way I feel. Whether that's universal. Well, who am I to tell? It's not a folk song. But you're welcome to sing along. It ain't got no melody, and I think that's okay. 'Cause to tell you the truth, I'm not feeling melodious. Anyway.
Now the reason that 20-yard squared off area exists between the runways of the Atlanta airport is because it is a graveyard. And in the state of Georgia, you gotta ask a family's permission to move a graveyard. My friend Frank's family did not give the Atlanta airport permission to move that tiny little graveyard. I looked down at the dates, and well, they were all there from before the Civil War. And if you know anything about the city of Atlanta at all, to find anything that's there from before Gone with the Wind is relatively significant. I looked down at one of the dates, and the one that caught my eye, it said, Emmanuel, age 7, house servant. And I went to ask my friend Frank about that, but he had climbed up on top of the tallest monument, so I climbed up there with him, drinking tequila with my oldest friend in the world, watching the planes take off so close we could actually make out figures in the windows, so close that if I had a good healthy Gladstone like in the good old days, I could have taken out one of them windows. And we noticed from that height that the planes had to jog left and then dart right to avoid this tiny little graveyard. I started thinking about my measly 5, now 6 years of living on the road, how that might not amount to a damn thing, but here was the life of one 7-year-old slave who could change or at least slow down the steamrollers of progress 150 years after his death. And that, my friend, I thought was beautiful.
But this is not a folk song. It's about the way I feel. And whether that's universal. Who am I to tell? It's not a folk song. But you're welcome to sing along. But it's played out of tune. And I think that's okay. 'Cause to tell you the truth, the whole damn world's out of tune.
That is indeed a true story. It was I haven't watched that video in a long time, and watching it there, I noticed that that's actually Phil Rockstro and his wife Angela Tyler in the one of the campfire scenes there. It was something I completely forgotten had taken place. Also, the guy who's playing the part of Frank, my oldest friend in the world, Frank, who's the interpreter for the deaf. He got really sick the day that we were going to make this movie, and had to have a stand-in. And my friend Mongo, who's a stagehand, a stage manager in Atlanta, a longtime friend of mine, stepped in to play the part. So Frank became this really large man named Mongo instead of this tiny little guy that he actually is. The video you actually know Frank would find that amusing. I really appreciate y'all indulging me and playing you these films. It's been the joy of my life to make them. I hope I get to keep making them for a long time, and I hope I get to keep doing these. I hope you will hang around for the after party here. I'm going to make myself a cocktail, and I will join you there. I have no idea how many people are here, and I prefer not to know when I'm playing, but I'd love to hang around and chat for just a minute. So thank you so much, and thanks to Brian, Tim, and Shannon, and all of the people, Timmer and Karen and Jenna with the 830 Club. Thank you so much for being here, and I'm going to mix myself a cocktail, and I will join you on this monitor over here in the after party. Thank you so much.